Tell you what, why don't we try to get this going before we lose more connections?
Okay.
All right, and so let me call up the, you have to put it in front of me, the agenda. So the first thing is the roll call. And so we'll start with
Here.
Denise,
Here.
Kim, Mayor, John, not here, and Mary, not here. She may join us later. We'll see. Okay. All right. So we do have a quorum, so we can go ahead and proceed. Public comment, but I do not see anybody here. So we'll close public comment and we'll go to old business. Is basically what we wanted to do tonight was just talk about what Allison and Kim have been able to do. I know, Allison, I guess we can start with your part first. You were going to try and talk with Alex and see if we had strayed too far as the changes we made. Were you able to get anything back from him?
No, but he's game when we have something. But in place of that, can I offer something a little different?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the last meeting, I was struggling to keep up with. Sorry.
So if you're hearing her speaking,
this isn't going to work.
So
I was frustrated because people have been working with different components and I didn't know what we were working off of. Even the ordinance that is online is the old one. So what I would like to suggest is that we come up with kind of a plug and play kind of outline, right? So we have, for example, very quick outline items for me are for residential, right? We would have a few bullet points. No signs need permits, no time limits, the location and easement parameters, and lastly, a chart for the prohibited. I'm gonna have to move. I apologize. I'm sorry. My apologies. My house is very teeny and we have lots of conversations. So back to kind of the parameter where we I am confused by taking the full document and trying to edit it as is. So what I want to do is because we want to make it much simpler and much more user-friendly, to literally just come up with what we need to do and plug it in. And some of that might be what was written previously. And we're going to hear from Kim about the enforcement, if you guys already did.
We're waiting.
And so really what I'm coming up with is our residential, which we're streamlining, the commercial, which what I'm hearing is we're generally fine as it is in the ordinance. Am I correct in that?
I think that's a fair assessment. We really didn't give you that much other than just really wordsmithing, but I don't think there was really anything that we wanted to change in the commercial.
I think I think my frustration was we were too in the weeds, whereas we needed to pull up and take a look at the broader, what direction we want to go and then make that happen. Yeah. Right. So okay. It sounds like if we like the commercial as is with some nuances, right? Of course. And then Kim shares with us what she's created for the enforcement. Then we have to come up with our certain bullet points for residential that we all agree on. And then we can find the wording to put in there. And then we can take that to Alex and say, well, you really need this. You don't need this, that kind of thing. How does that feel for you guys?
So go ahead, Kim.
I agree, and I'm almost visualizing something like an ordinance that's in two parts. It's like the readable portion, the part that you could easily read through, and then the legal portion, that gets more into the details. I don't know. I feel like we need the abridged version and then the larger version. And we were going through and trying to edit the legal portion, and I think we could do that, but I think if we're really wanting to make big structural changes, we should do that in a way that makes it just very simple and straightforward. And then Alex will tell us probably what else needs to be in there as far as all the legal speak. But yeah, I mean, you'll see with the enforcement that I wrote up, it's just like, you can't find anything that's simply straightforward in the ordinance. It's really hard. And so I think it would be nice if we had a portion in the ordinance where if I'm a resident and I want to know, can I put up the sign? I can go to it and I can clearly see, okay, so this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. Pretty straightforward. Here's what the enforcement is. And then later on, right, maybe there's parts that are referenced that has the legal speak in it. But again, I see us trying to, again, look at, like that, what Allison was saying, the bigger picture, trying to make it just more clear, straightforward. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to edit the legal speak down to something that is simple, I guess.
So the idea then, if I'm hearing you, would be to leave the commercial pretty much as is. I mean, read through it and see if there's anything, but that's probably fine. Leave the change the legalese to the change we want in the current one. That's like the legalistic one, but then maybe add something at the front that would be the one that people could just read. And in there, you would reference, if they wanted to see the particular details, it would reference the more legalistic part of the ordinance. Is that generally,
That's what seems would work for me. I don't know what others think.
I thought that was our goal all along.
okay.
Well, I think we were trying, like what you were, Mary, were like, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Oh yeah, I think that was our goal all along, but then we got stuck. Yeah, like you said. Yeah. Okay.
I think we were trying to shoehorn it all into like the legalistic part, and so by separating it, you can make that part that's just readable.
Mm-hmm.
Reference. I like the idea of that part having references to the more legalistic part. That if you really do want to split a hair, you can go down and read the legalistic part. But if you just want to know, can I put a sign up and leave it up? You can go read that, and it's straightforward.
Yeah.
So then the other thing is we're coming up with the structure and the priorities or the direction that we want the sign ordinance to be, and then let the legal experts come in behind and fill in whatever. I don't think we should be messing with the legal verbiage, let Alex do that. And I'd also like to see, perhaps Karen or Randy, if they can help us with the writing. Because when I sat down to look at it, it was like, I know there was a chart somewhere and the ordinance on the website isn't correct. And it's like, so how do I, it was just too much for me. So
I think, so what I'm hearing is you want us to just set up the framework, fill in the framework, and then hand it off to legal and let them do the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that will work great for the residential. For the commercial, I'm not so sure.
But
I
if we leave the commercial as is.
Yeah, we don't make any changes.
So this is pretty much just for residential then.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing,
That's
right,
pretty
the
basic.
direction.
Mm-hmm.
So the direction that I think we're heading is that residential signs, nothing needs a permit. There are no time limits. And we need to figure out what our easement parameters are, right? Whether it's 4 feet or 5 feet, right? We come up with what that is.
It could be two.
Well, yeah, but I think that's where we need to be. So we need to be thinking policy rather than weeds, right?
Right.
And rather than particular words. And, you know, I know that there was a chart created that itemized the prohibited signs. That can still be in there, right? So the work that we've already done can just plug into the appropriate place, and then Alex can go through and pick out whatever, you know, he needs based on, we don't want any time limits, and Kim's enforcement, right? Here's step 1, 2, 3, 4. He will come back and say, that's not going to work. This is great. We're going to add this here.
Yeah. I like
What
that.
do you-
I mean, I go ahead,
Denise,
Denise.
you have a concern.
No. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, no.
So if
I'm trying
that's the
Visualize-
case,
You know, visualizing the layout is the only thing. So it seems like you have something in mind. I don't know. I don't know.
I just want, you know, in my mind, I see a literal outline, right? Residential, number 1, no sign, or, you know, no signs need a permit for residential. Number 2, no time limits. I mean, obviously those will have to be fleshed out a little bit, but it's literally an outline.
Mm.
I
And
think
then
the-
we take each item, and that becomes part of the code 102.1 and then 102.2, right? But I think for me, it's difficult to take the big and go small and then back again. Rather, I just want to start small and clear, and then we fill it in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I think most of what you know we're envisioning for the residential's there. I think the real thing would be deciding the setbacks. You know, I mean, the whole easement thing. I think we've been down that rabbit hole because there's no reason that. I mean, we could let people put stuff on city property if we wanted. I mean, there's no reason they can't. We just have an ordinance that they can. So we can decide. You know, we don't have to worry about I think this whole easement thing. I think is something we can talk about. I think
You just have to have the sign far enough from a street so it won't impede
there you
everyone.
go. I think you just reference it from the street, and you don't even worry about the easement, and we can talk about that. Okay.
So
And
what
then-
I'm also hearing, I'm sorry, Gary.
No, and we got the sizes already in there. I think are still good. You know, the 16 square feet for one sign and 80 total. I think is what it was if I remember right. So I mean, the numbers already in there. And those are still good, and they're legal. They'll hold up.
So what I'm hearing is adding in the size, right? I hadn't had that in before. The size, but also the city properties. Right, so I'm just adding these to an outline, and I can send this to Randy to, you know, send out or something. And then are there, for residential, are there any other kind of overarching topics?
So it's sign, the size, the aggregate of the signs, the
Yep.
right-of-way placement, and not being in city property.
Well, and
guess-
then there's, and I think if you go back and if you can find Gagliotti's table, I mean, it's really lists everything there just perfectly. And because the other part of that is no trees, no telephone poles, no, all that.
And can you clarify for me, is his chart no's?
His chart has prohibiteds, so those are the no's, but at the top of the chart, it also states like the size, and I mean, I can pull it up. I'd have to find it, but I mean, I think that's
I think
that's a simplified document that you should work from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And that may be the basis for the residential section,
Yeah.
that chart. And,
Yeah.
and then commercial fine as is. And then we talk about, I think the enforcement, if I understand, are there two different, one for residential and one for commercial, or are they the same?
I just thought they could be the same.
Mm.
Although, you know, I don't know. We can decide on that.
I think I would keep them separate.
So you would have a different procedures?
Oh, procedures, yeah. Maybe I'd want to look at them for sure.
Okay.
before,
Yeah.
before we jump into enforcement, could I just real quickly, with one thing is I'd like to just make sure we don't, it is clarified, is the fence issue for the people who have fences that are within 4 feet of the street. If we decide to go with 4 feet, I think we should be able to put signs on a fence. I don't think that all we can do on the fence, that's within 4 feet of the street, because there's a lot of people who have fences that are clearly within 4 feet of the street, and they don't, they should be able to put a sign on it, as long as it's not blocking the safety thing, as long as it's not on a corner blocking
Mhm.
the view. I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to put a.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because it's like the fence is grandfathered in. So I'd say whatever is on the fence should be grandfathered in.
Yeah, because you're not putting something out there. I mean, it's just
Right.
you're not adding something. So anyway, just something to keep in mind. I think that's because we do have a number, like I said, number of people who have fences that are like right up almost to the street, and
Oh, I thought of something. It doesn't matter if if you put the sign on the fence flat, but somebody could put it perpendicular, right?
well, and I think that's where you put the caveat.
Stick out, and then it might stick out.
Blocking. Yeah,
Just a little detail.
No, but those are important. And I
Yeah.
think those are the details we should be talking about rather than the words.
Gotcha. Okay.
So my other question is trees.
I think you can put it on your own tree. You shouldn't put it on your neighbor's tree.
What about trees on a right of way?
Oh, that's a good. Ooh.
you talking like that, like in the triangles?
Well, no, I'm talking about, I mean, wasn't it George that came specifically to a meeting because the picnic and the garage sales, he hammered, or no, is it to a tree or is it a telephone pole?
Both.
Okay.
See, both of those are used
Yeah.
for that. And so I think so they were saying we should build something to put them on versus, sticking them on the tree.
Or,
That's deciding.
Well-
It's not the best thing for a tree to keep hammering signs into it.
or the other thing is just drill a couple holes in those big wooden signs and just get some rope and just hang it from the tree. You're not hurting the tree. So
Yeah.
there ought to be a way to specify attaching it to the tree without drilling or hammering into the tree. If you just lean, and most of those signs actually kind of lean up against the tree. If you
Mhm.
against the tree and you just had a piece of rope that went around one of the branches and held it in place, that's not going to hurt the tree. But I think it's the hammering and the drilling that are the issue.
So are we trying to protect the tree? Are we trying to protect the rights of the city to not have a sign within their public space?
It's well, this kind of falls into, this isn't residential or commercial because it's right, the action, what does that fall under? That's the city. So
City
it's the
property.
So the city putting a sign on city property.
But it wasn't the city, it was
Well, the
private.
group, whatever that's what the umbrella that falls under, but
Yeah,
Well, so does the tree get grandfathered in just like the fence? So if the tree is within 4 feet, then you're not going to get a permit to have the tree on technically city property. So you can put a sign on it. Or is it like, so do you treat a tree just like a fence?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Well, and
Is-
again, for me, there's a difference between my personal tree and a tree on city property.
Right.
But like, would you consider a tree? I mean, Del Rio, Ron isn't coming around and taking care of trees that are within 4 feet of a house property, right? So, I mean, you would sort of naturally assume that's your own tree, just like you would assume that's your own fence, even though it's in the public right of way,
Okay.
right? So,
I
in
think
that-
it actually does take care of some trees that are in the right of way, like at the bottom of Rosita.
yeah, but is it in someone's house?
It's on the side of their house. And in the front of the house, PG&E does that too. They've been, take him out of the lines. So I don't know. Do we even want to go there with the trees?
Well,
There's no-
it's in there now already.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's some- okay.
And what does it say now, Kim?
I have to look it up.
That's okay.
Let me see.
Oh, I have the original.
Yeah,
I think I found it. Where was this? Oh, there it is.
Right now it says no sign can be placed in or public right of way. Blah, 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 blah. On any, right now it says it cannot be placed, the sign cannot be placed on any tree on public property.
Okay.
I mean, unless they got changed somewhere, that's the copy I have, that's what it says.
So that would also include telephone poles.
So, Gary, what are you reading from?
I'm just reading from the ordinance.
Okay, so this is what's in the table that Gagliotti came up with. It says no
Okay.
signs. Here, do you want me to share it?
Yeah,
Great.
I think, yeah, you should be able to share it because,
There you go. And is
Got
this is John's?
Yeah, this is John's.
Okay.
So right here where it says no sign shall be posted on trees, traffic signposts, light posts, traffic signals, or any other official traffic control device.
Okay.
So yeah, so we've got the square footage location. So again, I don't know if we want to put that down to 4 feet.
make it, well, that's the width of a sidewalk. I mean, that's,
Right.
when you say 5, like, I'll use my fence for an example, right? If you say 5, I bet my fence is probably, because it's right on the edge of the sidewalk, it's probably 4 feet from the street.
Right.
So if you make it 4, then I think you're, if there's a sidewalk there, that's fine. That's not going to put it on the sidewalk, but you can put it on your fence or right next to the sidewalk.
Well, and I think we need to state in here that you can put it on a fence if it's,
Mhm.
Yes, I
within
think that would
the 4
be
feet.
But I like adding flat rather than perpendicular. I think that's a really valid point.
Yeah.
You just put in there, you can attach it to the fence in parentheses, not perpendicular. I mean, it's just that kind of covers it.
Great. And so,
Yeah. So we've got these locations, which I think, these are pretty straightforward, right? And then are we going to say no sign shall be posted on trees?
I think so.
Or light posts.
Right.
So
Like I can understand the light post, but if a tree's in your own yard, should you be able to put a sign on it?
I think so.
So we need to change that then.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, does
Can
it,
you put a strike through that rather than deleting it?
and Kim, does it talk down below about public property? Because I mean, you just
Like commercial?
trees. Well, no, like what I was reading on the orders, you can say no sign shall be posted on trees on public property. I mean, and then that way, that takes care of the, the stuff out in the triangles, and if it's in your yard, it's not public, and you can put
Right.
something.
Well, but again, like the tree in a triangle is clearly not residential. But
Right.
a tree in your yard, you would assume is your own tree. But if it's within the 4 feet of, if it's within the right of way,
Yeah.
do you consider that your own tree? Or is that considered the right of way and it can't be on there? So again, do we treat that tree that's within that, say, 4 feet? Is that the same as a fence? I mean, I can see, traffic signposts, traffic signals, like you clearly don't want to mess with something that's, providing a public duty, right? A tree is your own tree. And I feel like that's something that, if you want to put a sign on it, it seems reasonable.
Maybe we just say no sign should be posted on a tree on public property and let the lawyer figure it out.
Well, but why do you have to say public property?
So that, because we don't want people going out on the triangles and.
Well, again, that's not residential property. So this sign ordinance doesn't apply because that's city property,
You can't put a sign on city property, so it doesn't matter.
right?
And that's stated elsewhere then. Okay.
Yeah, it must.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As long as it's stated somewhere else, that's fine.
Signs are finished.
I mean, I would,
So maybe we just have to put in, I mean, I'm sure it says someplace in the sign ordinance,
yeah.
but I
that's
guess
what
when you
was
say
reading.
residential, you're assuming that it's your own residential property.
Mhm.
Do we have another segment part of this that talks about city property?
Yes, I don't think we do we? It's just commercial and residential.
Commercial, not on this document.
Okay, so I
Okay.
put that
I
on
don't-
the outline, and that could, and we'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do we need to keep looking at this? Should I stop sharing?
I
Hold on.
Go ahead, Denise.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, maybe keep it up just for fun. You don't, I mean,
Have it at the ready.
have
Well,
it at the, exactly.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm looking at the original document back from June. And okay, I'm looking.
Are you looking to see if it says something about city?
Yeah,
So are you looking in option A?
yes,
Okay.
I'm looking at option A. Can't believe I found it.
Okay, well, I mean, I think we know that we can't put signs on public property,
Right.
but we need to find the place where it actually says that.
Okay.
Right.
Well, it said it. Well, if you, what was it?
So that's okay. We can
Uh,
find that, and that can be plugged in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I'm also conscious of time, and I want to make sure that Kim has enough time to talk about enforcement. So
Yeah.
is there anything else for residential that we need to look at? So it sounds like we have the sizes, we have the aggregate sizes. John's chart I need to take a look at. It sounds like it's really good. We have the easement parameters. And we need to add fences and flat, grandfathered. No time limits, is that included in that chart or is that included elsewhere?
That is included in the chart in where there's a section that says duration. It says there are no durations for conforming signs at a private residence.
Perfect. And then the only other thing I had is, and forgive my verbiage, no signs need permitting. Is
Yeah.
that a true
Well,
statement?
let's see. Trying to see if there's anything here that says that.
Something about not requiring a permit for resident, no, I thought it said no permit required in there, but
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I don't see it, but it seems like it'd be pretty simple.
Okay. And so then, so that's one major bullet point. And then the second is city property. We want to make sure that, you know, posting anything on city property is not permitted, including telephone poles and trees. Commercial thus far, we're fine as is. And on that note, is there any other major topic that isn't included in that other than enforcement?
Well,
Okay, so I'll write up these notes and I'll ask Karen or Randy to distribute or something. But I want to hear from Kim.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for kind of walking through that with me. It feels much more palatable.
Oh,
yeah,
good. Yeah.
good progress. Okay, let me pull up the sign enforcement. Okay, so I think my first point here is just that I really want to make, you know, obviously enforcement very straightforward, but really the point is you need to create an ordinance that doesn't allow for subjective, hard to measure violations. You know, it's, you know, variation in sign type or time limits, like that's where it starts to get kind of wiggly. And I like to have really clear ordinance so that enforcement is also very clear. So what I did was I just copied what is in option A. I tried to look up enforcement on our municipal codes website, and it didn't seem like it was there. I mean, it's probably there, but it was so hard to find. So, but as you can see, I don't know if you've read this, but it's, you know, again, it just sort of references other sections of our municipal code, which doesn't really tell you, again, what's going to happen. You know, it isn't straightforward. So, and I guess I explained that here. Again, that it doesn't, you know, provide any real understanding of enforcement steps. And even if they were to reference those sections, it's still confusing. I wanted to have a very clear kind of abstract version so that someone could very easily see, okay, this is what's going to happen if I break a rule. And then as I was writing this, I just thought, okay, for clarification, right, we're really only talking about signs within the right of way, and then signs that are of larger or, you know, more greater aggregate in size, because I think that's the only way. I mean, unless it was obviously clearly prohibited, then I mean, that would be obvious. So, and so I guess in my mind, I was just kind of going through. So I guess it wouldn't be on a tree, right? It would just be in the right of way or size issue or prohibited sign. So anyways, so this was what I was thinking in terms of what would happen. So step one, the ordinance designates the city manager, or the city manager designates an employee to issue a written notification of the sign violation. And we have an actual section that talks about the notification of nuisance by that. And so that's referenced. And then I thought it should be taped to the sign so that publicly people could see that that sign was notified. And then it also needs to be provided to the resident. I'm sorry?
Like what they do on cars, when they stick the orange thing on the car.
Yeah, like you get a ticket. It's been tagged, right?
Yeah.
If a sign on private property presents health or safety hazard, right, including obstruction of vision, then they have the right to remove that right away into a place that makes it, you know, creates health or safety hazard, that it, you know, it mitigates that. So, and then there's some reference to that as well. So anyway, so Denise, were you going to say something? Okay. Okay, so that's step one. So they're notified. And then I came up with a 10-day time period if there's no compliance. then the violation is deemed an infraction and punishable by fines. And then that's another section that reviews the fines.
So
And then,
I have a question about 10 days. And so in step 1, a representative of the city has taken the sign and moved it to an acceptable location.
no, only, well, I guess if, no, because that would actually rectify the issue.
Yeah,
I think they move the sign if it's a hazard.
otherwise they tag it.
Otherwise, they just tag
Oh.
it.
And why 10 days?
I don't know. I think
Is
there must have been something in the ordinance that referenced 10 days.
That's 2 work weeks. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, if someone's on vacation,
Yeah.
I don't know. Gives them time.
All right.
We could change it then. All right.
It just feels very generous. So,
okay. And then basically, if they don't fix it within 10 days, then they can be subject to fines. And there's another section that referenced that. If the resident objects, then the violation could be moved to a hearing by the city council. And again, that was referenced in this section. And so.
are they given a ticket in between number 2 and number 3? How are they notified that they're
Well, they start incurring fines.
okay? And so they just get a letter from City Hall on day 12? Or is there some kind of a notification or?
Well, and I guess that's where, we could add something in here if that's the case, however that works. So Denise?
Hold on. Oh, sorry. My dog was barking. That's why I muted myself earlier. Well, if we go to section B, does it say all the details on that one?
On, the 1.6, let's see. So that's step 2.
Step
Oh.
2, 1.16.
Oh, where'd it go?
Violation of
Okay.
provisions of this chapter should be deemed an infraction as punishable if it follows.
Close that door. Feet are freezing.
No, that's not it.
So here I found it, and it just tells you what the fines are going to be. It doesn't say how you give them a fine and when the fine. So I guess it would be day 11.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so those are all the little fine details. I think we would have to, my Adobe
And
is
that's,
just blowing
and
up.
that's probably something Alex can help us with too. I mean,
Right.
how do we enforce this? Say someone racks up $100 in fines. I mean, how do we force them to pay it? I mean,
Oh, well,
I don't know.
and here it says that if they make a bona fide effort and comply, and if they're cry poor, they can pay less. Little bit in there.
Oh gosh, I've lost my document.
So yeah, it kind of goes into the details here, and I don't know if we have time to go through all that, but
But I guess that's what I wanted to just be able to share, is that the idea is that we have something that's really a little bit of an abstract that gives them the nuts and bolts, and then all the legal stuff comes later, and you reference that, so if they really want the details, they can look at it.
Well, that dovetails nicely with what Allison was saying too. You got an idea that you have the easy to read page, and then if you want to read the details about how the fine is actually, executed, or you can go look that up. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, and that's probably a really good idea.
I guess our job is to agree on what we think is that are those okay steps for enforcement, or do we want to go about this in a different way?
I would propose, I think those are pretty good. I think you give them, I think at this point, you could give those to Alex and see if they pass, muster legally, like, you know, if that's, and he could tell us, if there are, we could ask him, are there holes in this that we're not seeing? And he could tell us if there's, oh yeah, you got to say it this way, or think about this contingency, or someone's going to, you know, gain it.
But I think ultimately it's logical, right? Something is seen, something is noticed, there's time to rectify it. It is rectified if it's a safety hazard. If it's not rectified, then you're penalized. And this is how you're going to be penalized, right? Every day, or,
Yeah.
you know, $1,000, or, you know, and perhaps, I mean, and this is a total weed detail, but perhaps that is part of the violation that is taped to the sign, right?
Yeah,
You have 10 days, otherwise, you know, you will be billed $1,500, or, you know.
yeah, whatever it is, yeah. Yeah.
But
I
it
think,
makes sense to logically, you know, A, B, C, and D, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think if someone thinks that this rule is unfair or something, that they, you know, they don't, I mean, I think taking it to a city council, or to, what is it that we have, Allison, that you said?
We have administrative officers,
Yeah.
and it's things, and so I was surprised when I saw city council, right? So if somebody is messing, you know, that wasn't what I understand was done when John had a sign that was out of compliance, right? I thought it went to an administrative officer.
Right.
Well, we could add that administrative officer, and then step 1, step 2, they can appeal it to the city council. I mean,
Yeah, city
can always appeal.
council looking at a sign kind of thing feels a bit over the top.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have those administrative officers.
Well, shouldn't it go to the planning commission? I mean, if this, you know, if we're dealing with the signs, we came
Well,
up, I don't know. No,
but if
But the,
it's in clear
does the planning
violation,
commission?
oh, it's a violation, so yeah, that's
if
not, yeah.
it's in clear
Yeah, I don't
violation,
think we have
That's true. Yeah.
it goes to the, you know,
Right.
the police.
elected body.
Yeah.
Right.
It's gotta go to an elected body.
All that, right, that's out of
I think that's always the
realm.
I think it's always, you know, the ultimately you can always appeal it to the city council. I mean,
Mhm.
just like you would if it was a city council, a planning commission decision that you didn't like. So, but yeah, you're right. We don't need to jump to that. So we need to probably just put the code enforcement in between that, and then the next step would be to appeal to the city.
Right,
city
because this is a code and that's their job. So that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah, I didn't see anything about a code enforcement person in our ordinance at all. So
I don't know if it's relatively new. I think it's because I remember they kind of started doing them, and I don't know if they were there before and they just weren't doing them, but it seemed like it was a few years.
Andy Clark is one of them, right?
During my 2 years, we appointed the first 2.
Okay, so it wasn't it was something new. Is that right? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was something that was there, just they weren't using, or if it was something brand new. But yeah,
I think it's been in, you know, buried in an ordinance or municipal code somewhere, but it had never been, you know, kind of fleshed out. So now
Right.
we have them. I don't, you know, to be honest with you, I don't know the process. You know, I don't know when a meeting is called and that kind of thing, but I don't think we need to go into that for this. I think that's a bigger conversation.
Yeah. No, I think you said something there like first appeal. If you appeal it, the first level of appeal would be to the administrative officer. Second level of appeal would be to the city council. Boom. Just
Right.
let it go.
And then I think we're done with the sign ordinance, right?
That's it. Okay.
I do think we need to just review the commercial portion, just because I feel like there was some areas where there was maybe a few mistakes, like just, you know, so.
But
I don't think we should ignore it, but I don't think it really needs much changing.
No, and then also this enforcement, I don't know if it does totally pertain to commercial, because I don't know if you want to wait, if they're out of compliance, I think 2 weeks is a long time, because they're not on vacation or anything. So I think that, you know, that might be a little bit different. And also, I don't know about the fines. because right now what the fines are for residential, it's 100 for the first offense, 200 the second, and 500 for the third within the year. So I don't know, just a talking point.
Yeah. Maybe
So,
we'd want to
And also-
leverage.
And notification. Yeah, I guess you would give it to the business owner, but it's just a little bit of it.
okay.
Yeah. Don't think we can use exactly the same one, but close.
What about, so what's the time for non-compliance?
I
Would
would say five. I would say 5 days.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Denise. Is like
Yeah,
commercials a week, 5 days,
right.
and residents 10 days.
Hmm.
The other thing is that might, I don't know if a business owner appeal should go to an administrative officer
No, I don't. Yeah,
or the city manager or something. I mean, that's a very different kind of ball of
yeah. I was just going to ask you about that because that occurred to me as well. I'm pretty sure that those administrative officers are set up for.
Yeah.
Who's the administrative officer?
Andy Clark over on your side.
So the code enforcement. You're saying so code enforcement, administrative officer, are the same person, people?
Mhm.
Oh,
In theory, yeah.
okay.
And
There's
so,
three of them, right?
yeah, I thought there was
Yeah,
one.
okay.
Oh,
There was another one. Isn't it the guy who runs MST?
Oh, Carl
Yeah.
Dorchek.
Sidoric.
Or-
Is it Carl? Really?
I thought so.
Oh no, oh no. Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I
well,
could.
that's something we need to find.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the fines for business?
Business fines.
Is the $100 first time okay?
Yeah,
I mean, that'd probably get their attention. Most of our businesses are,
yeah.
and probably if you $100 might get their attention. They're like, oh, they're serious. Okay, I'll fix it.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is we're going to keep the same fine structure.
So it's 100 for the first offense, 200 for the second, and 500 for the third.
Okay,
We all
In a
good
year.
with that? Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Within the same year.
Yeah,
Okay.
within a year.
Okay, and then start all over.
That.
So-
Okay.
Again, in looking at the fines, is it just $100 and then?
Yeah, so it's not to exceed $100 for the first offense. Upon a
Yeah.
second violation of the same ordinance within 1 year by the fine not to exceed 200, and for the third, 500.
So Kim, are you thinking, oh, someone gets $100 fine and they get a fine, I'll just leave it up and
Yeah.
that's still the first fine.
Right.
I thought it was
Yeah.
daily it increased.
Well, it doesn't say that.
No, it says the second violation of the same ordinance within 1 year. Huh.
So there's an assumption that they're going to pay the fine and
Take the sign down and then put it back up.
right. And then we charge them 200.
Then we charge them 200. Yeah. And
Well, maybe the way around that is simply to say we just go take the sign down if they don't take it down, like within, they pay the fine and I don't know. At some point, I mean, how much is someone really going to push them?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Think him.
I don't know. There is a section that just talks about abatement. Let's see.
oh, it's the form of notice, abatement of nuisance.
City abatement.
Yeah, you have to pay for all the fees or the cost associated with it.
I mean, I think if it's not, you know, you pay the fine, and I guess it's understood that once you pay the fine, then, I mean, obviously you would have taken care of the sign at that point, right? Because you're paying for your original violation. If you continued to violate it, then I think it maybe your next step is that it becomes, again, another level, like it talks.
That's the second
And
notice.
Well, but that's a second notice is kind of within. Oh, yeah, I guess you can just keep.
I'm just saying, if they just like, oh, here's $100, I'm leaving the sign up, fine, there's okay, there's your second notice. Now it's the second violation. You know, you took care of you took care of the first violation, you paid your fine, but the sign's still there. Fine, there's a second violation. Take the damn sign down, you know?
Right. And for each additional violation of the same ordinance within 1 year. So they just keep, I mean, obviously I would hope that someone after.
Yeah, they're not gonna want to keep paying $500.
Right. That would be an amazing sign.
We do need income for the city.
I mean, that would be a question for Alex, but I would think that they get cited, we go through the steps, they don't take it down, they pay their $100 fine. If the sign is still there, then you come back next day and the sign is still there, like, all right, well, there's the second violation because the sign is still there. You're outside your 10 days, you didn't, or 5 if it's commercial, you didn't take care of it.
Right.
There's your second violation.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, somebody really wanted to, you know, be obstinate about it. I mean, I guess we can be, you know, we can be obstinate back. I don't, it.
I mean,
I don't think they have.
I think at that point, the city could maybe then say, okay, we need to take it to the administrative officer. Or, you know, if it's really, and I guess the administrative officer maybe then would be the final arbiter. And they could say, yeah, the city needs to go in and abate that sign. You're not following the rules.
I mean, I guess that option is there.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I agree that that's Alex can figure out the fine details with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Kim, do you want to send your stuff to Allison and send her the list of John's list? And Allison, do you want to take that and give it to and then see if Karen or Randy can smooth something up for us? And then we can come back after that and maybe they can distribute that with all that in it. And then we can just take a look at the whole thing again. And the next time we can add in going through the commercial and doing a read through that.
And just so everyone knows that the legal portion, I literally just like kind of cut and pasted from all different parts of the ordinance. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have something real and juicy and kind of with our direction, then we can dive into, you know, all the words and things like that. And we have set, you know, kind of the direction we want.
Yeah.
I like it.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll send you the table and then I'll send you what I created in a doc form.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we actually sort of,
Kim.
just to be official, we actually segued from old business at that point into new business when we made the plan. So the old business was discussing reviewing the modifications, which we did. And then the new business was discuss the steps for moving forward and divide and deciding the work, which we just did. And so, yeah, that was item 1 under new business. So we're good. Thank you.
Right.
And the number 2 item, the last item is simply to set a date and time to try to get at this. I don't know how busy they are in City Hall. I mean, I don't know what's a reasonable amount of time. Do we want to try to meet in December or do we want to come back in January? What's reasonable for their?
No, let's do December.
Okay, well, then.
The first, I thought we decided on the first Wednesday of every month.
That works for me.
Okay, So that would be the 2nd.
Okay.
Oof. Time's a flying.
I know.
Okay. So we
Yeah, so that way we'll have something we can take a look at.
okay.
That works.
All righty. All right. Well, there we go.
There we go.
Well, in that case, I got the time in, and I will let Karen know so she can get it on her calendar, so we don't run that same problem we had that one time. Because I know this is sort of an odd thing for her calendar, so I'll get that to Karen so she can get it on her calendar, and we will get back in December. We'll try to look at what we got and keep moving forward.
Awesome.
Right on.
Good
All
job,
right.
team.
Hey, thank you guys. All right.
Yeah.
I do not, the last thing is public comment, and I do not see anybody from the public that has joined us. So
Where is everybody?
with that,
They're wiped out.
I think I'll adjourn us, and you guys have a great evening.
All right,
Thanks.
guys.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.